Hello, MLS Aces episode 221. This is your host, Tom Sweezy, and the man joining me with the bright green lime yellow shirt. I don't know what color that is. I love it though.
Highlighter neon yellow. Highlighter neon yellow. Yeah.
It's in tribute for Serginho Dest not being with us this World Cup qualifying window. That's exactly what it's for.
I can't claim to being like this massive Barcelona fan, but I will wear the shirt proudly with the El Clasico win.
Love it. Well, yes, Barcelona won big. No Serginho Dest, but we'll dive into pieces of that. Not El Clasico, more Serginho Dest later on. But it is another episode of the MLS Aces podcast. We have a lot to talk about. We're talking about CCL results from last week. We're talking about this upcoming final window of World Cup qualifying for the U.S. men's national team. And then obviously some important games, news, notes from around Major League Soccer in week 4. There's a ton going on. So, Vaughn, I guess, do you have anything you want to say before we kind of dive into the madness of U.S. soccer last week, this week, and what it continues to be?
No, let's do the deep dive. This is fun. This is going to be a good one.
This is it. But I know I just said let's dive into it. But before we do, let's just give a quick thank you to our sponsor for this episode, soccer90.com. Guys, if you're listening to this, watching this, you want to get yourself a nice gift, U.S. soccer related. You want to get your boyfriend, your girlfriend, significant other, parent, brother, sister, whatever. You want to get them a gift related to U.S. soccer. Please make sure you stop at soccer90.com and make them your primary source for all of your Major League Soccer, U.S. national team, and international club gear. MLS is back, and Soccer90 has brand new jerseys, tees, and more available. So gear up now, and you'll be ready for your club's opening day matches. You'll be ready for your club's first home matches, away matches, whatever you're going to, you'll be ready for it this upcoming 2022 season. And all MLS Aces listeners will receive 20% off of their purchase when you guys use promo code MLS Aces. Again, that's promo code MLSACES at checkout at soccer90.com. Some exclusions may apply. Thank you to Soccer90 for sponsoring this episode and for always sponsoring the MLS Aces podcast. But like I said, let's dive into it. We have a lot to cover, and I know we want to just chat about it. I'm sure people want to hear it, right? I know the Charlotte fans on Twitter want to hear it for sure from you. But let's dive into CCL first, because last week on the podcast, Jason and I were going nuts. We're chatting how we could possibly have 4 teams in all MLS teams in the CCL semifinals. We're guaranteed definitely going to have 3. Well, in reality, a week later, we're looking at 2 teams in the CCL semifinals. So what went good, what went bad, and what went absolutely horrible? I think we should just kind of go game by game, matchup by matchup, and let's kind of talk about it. So let's start with my boys, Comunicaciones versus NYCFC. The second leg finished with a 4-2 win for the Guatemalan First Division side, Comunicaciones. NYCFC do advance, though, to the CCL semifinal in this one on an away goal rule where they absolutely got saved, because NYCFC does not deserve to be in the spot that they are in my opinion, as an NYCFC fan. They just got lucky as hell. I mean, I can go into a deep dive rant about this, but I want to hear your opinion first, Vaughn, about Comunicaciones, NYCFC, kind of what the hell happened.
I mean, ultimately, I definitely made everybody sweat a little bit. The CCL fever started rising a little bit. Yeah, NYCFC just escaping. I mean, it's not the kind of result you want to have on the back end of a 2-leg series. I don't think my concern with NYCFC is I feel like their confidence level is dipping, right? Like so early on in the season, right? Like they're coming off the MLS Cup victory. They were like, all right, this team's going to be really good heading into the year. Wow, we still got Tati Castellanos. And it's like, no, Tati's not clicking. The team's not firing on all cylinders yet. They have this result against Comunicaciones where things start going a little south. They're having some results that aren't quite going their way in MLS regular season. So that's really my only concern, is that, hey, there's maybe some red flags here for NYCFC. They'll be fine. But right now, they are not jiving. And for a team that we thought was going to make a really deep run in CCL, they're alive. They're still in it. They still have a matchup where they've got a real shot of making it to the final. But do I feel confident in NYCFC today? I feel less confident after this past week and the 2 matchups against Comunicaciones and how they've been doing in their form in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm concerned about NYCFC for the Jekyll and Hyde performances we see, right? We see them go out and absolutely destroy Montreal in MLS action, which is, their best MLS game so far of the 2022 season. You beat Santos in CCL the opening round, the total of 6-0 on an aggregate. You go out, you beat Comunicaciones 3-1, and then you lose to Comunicaciones 4-2. You lose to Philadelphia this past weekend 2-0. You draw Vancouver, which arguably it shouldn't have been a draw. NYCFC had a lot of chances, but the result's still the same. This NYCFC team is either very, very good or very, very just like underwhelmingly meh. Like you let up late leads, you let up just soft goals that shouldn't really happen. I'm concerned of a deep run. Sure, if you get through Seattle, Seattle's also kind of playing with some mixed results a little bit, but Seattle's also still getting the job done in CCL, where clearly their main focus is. So let's just say you get through Seattle, you have to play a Liga MX team, which you haven't played so far. You struggled against the Guatemalan First Division. You're struggling against MLS sides and MLS action. If you go on and you face Cruz Azul or you face Pumas, like that's the real deal. That's the real deal of what you're going to face. And then, sure, NYCFC with Tati Castellanos could absolutely pull out an amazing 3-1 victory because we can score goals like that. But we can also let up a lot of goals like that too. We've shown that. So it's really which NYCFC side shows up. Leg 1, it was the good one. Leg 2, it was the poor one. But like for all 4 of these matchups we're going to talk about, there's legitimately a great result, a good result, a bad result, and an ugly result. For me, the NYCFC result was the bad result of the 4 games. You still got through. You still got through with what you did in leg 1. Like you still had to produce, and you did that, and good for you. But you got a little lucky, and here we are in a semifinal. I don't know.
Well, I think that it's this, right? Like they need somebody to be the person that puts the team on their back.
Yeah.
Right. Like they need Tati to be Tati. They need Maxi to be Maxi. This is a team not this team, like Major League Soccer, right? The 2 teams that had the best shot at winning CCL were LAFC last year and the TFC squad that made it to the final. One team had Javinko, one team had Vela, right? And I look at this NYCFC team, and those are the 2 guys. Like to me, it's Tati or Maxi has to be the one. Yeah. Maybe it's Magno. I don't know. I don't think it will be, but I think it needs to be somebody that will step up and ultimately take this team over the top. And right now, there's nobody doing that.
I agree with you. I don't think it's Magno. I think Magno could be a nice Robin to whoever's going to play Batman in this scenario. I personally like to think and hope it's Tati. Tati is the one who we're refusing to sell because we think he's worth 20 million and all this jazz, right? Like, well, now it's time for you, Tati, to own it and do it. He's been scoring and he's been scoring. He's been honestly the only player who I can look at for NYCFC and MLS action and in CCL action and be like, Tati's producing, Tati's doing well, he's getting involved, even if he's not scoring. He's the only one, like that Vancouver game I mentioned, only one actually putting balls on target, only one actually getting involved in the attack. So I'll give him that credit. So I want to say it's Tati. I'm hoping it's Tati. I'm hoping he can continue to score. But we've also seen what Maxi can do when Maxi does step up. We saw it in MLS Cup last year against Portland. We saw it the entire MLS Cup playoffs. Maxi's older. You can't expect that, time after time with him. But if you can get that for 3 more games from Maxi Morales, then you're CCL champions, and you're doing something that an MLS team's never done, and you're sending your team to the Club World Cup, and it's just you hope that you can get that from some of these guys who are definitely coming towards the end of their NYCFC tenures, like a Maxi, a Maxime Chanel, guys like that. But anything else about NYCFC, Comunicaciones, anything like that?
They moved on. That's good, and hopefully it's going to be enough.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I have a great, a good, a bad, and an ugly. NYCFC was the bad. The good was actually surprisingly CF Montreal in a draw against Cruz Azul 1-1. After playing away in Mexico, CF Montreal comes into a second leg at home, down 1-0. They let up a very early goal to Cruz Azul, which was a very pretty goal, beautiful goal. So you're down 2-1, 2-0 on an aggregate. Montreal come back with a later goal to try to, start the comeback at home. Unfortunately, the comeback was a little too late, but I have to say, and not much that I really want to talk about in this between this aggregate. Montreal's eliminated, but I have to say, if you want to give any MLS team any type of credit in CCL historically, you're looking at the grand picture of MLS and CCL. It's Montreal. Montreal did it with as the impact with that squad that back in 2012, 2013, I think it was. And they upset Santos Laguna in this CCL. And you know what? They had the toughest draw again against Cruz Azul. You kept it 1-0 down in Mexico, and you drew 1-1 at home. Like Montreal with a very not as talented side as Seattle, New England, NYCFC did it, played there. Like they do what they do and they get results, even if at the end of the day it doesn't result in a CCL title. I have to give Montreal a lot of credit for what they've done historically and what they did in this tournament because fantastic showing.
Yeah, it felt like a punch above their weight sort of scenario, and they weren't able to get past them, past Cruz Azul. But yeah, same thing. Kudos to them. Kudos to the way Wilfred Nancy has this team believing, the way he's got Georgi Mihailovic performing. There's a lot of things to still like about Montreal.
And I think this CCL was almost like a wake-up call, or not a wake-up call, like an awakening for Ismail Kone, their midfielder. However, Wilfred Nancy wants to play him, whether it's almost like a wing back, whether it's more central, whatever it may be. Very talented young midfielder. Like, we're going to see this kid around a lot. He's 19. Like, I don't know. I think this could have been a nice kind of awakening for him to get him some early international action. And he's obviously just got the call up for Canada as well. So just want to give him a shout out too, because Mihailovic has been their star, but Kone, I think, has been a nice B behind Mihailovic being the A there. But let's move into the next matchup. And this is the ugly. You got my good, you got my bad. Here is the ugly New England Revolution losing 3-0 to Pumas in Mexico. We go to PKs, awful set of PKs. Bruce Serena literally saying, "What the fuck was that?" to a Sebastian Lletget PK. I might have misinterpreted some things there with the lip read, but at the end of the day, Pumas advance on PKs past New England, who had a 3-0 lead heading into this match. Vaughn, I have plenty I could say about this, but I'm going to turn this to you first.
This game was just oh no, baby, what is you doing? Like, it was going south quick, and I think we all saw the ship on fire. It was just like, this was another sports psychology moment, right? Like, a lot of people have called it out, but the Bruce Arena quote of like, "Hey," I think you called it out. Yeah, you said it. Of like, "Hey, they're the ones that need to score."
Yeah.
One goal would have forced them to have to score 5, and we wouldn't be talking about this game right now in this light. It was like, I don't know what it is that teams go down to Mexico and change their playing style and just get ran off the field. It was tough to watch. It was really tough to watch.
It kills me. Yes, I mean, I wasn't trying to gloat, but it was me saying last week on the episode to Jason, going, Bruce Arena, play your style, play the way you guys do, and score a goal. Score one. Do what Seattle did. All you have to do is score a single goal, and you put Pumas in such a tough spot with the away goal rule, and you're on. Like, you could lose 2-1. Who gives a shit? You did what you had to do, and you have the talent to do that. Sure, there were some opportunities that New England also failed to put away, and that's totally on the players. But I don't know, with Kessler out, with Matt Turner, and obviously Brad Knighton still out, you're playing your third string goalkeeper. Andrew Farrell, like, I thought that was a whole weird situation too, where he wasn't injured, but he was like, he had a severe, I think it was a bruise I read, and he didn't even travel with the team. Like, I don't know. Omar Gonzalez, Bruce, has not proved to be your ticket to doing anything in any type of point in your soccer career. So I don't know. It was very poor management from Bruce Arena. And I even said this in a tweet where I was like, if there was anyone who I kind of would have gave confidence to going away in a game like this, it would have been Bruce Arena. Don't know why I felt like that. I mean, yes, he's the most successful winning head coach in Major League Soccer history, but I mean, it's once
This
again a
this
failure.
this felt like a Bruce Arena Cuva special.
Yeah,
Like this
yeah,
this was a team in a gimme situation. You just got to execute. You even have a little bit of room for error, and you just got to do just enough to advance.
yeah.
And the team came out flat and failed. This is the second time in an elimination situation that we've seen that happen to a Bruce Arena side. And really, that was my initial thought. Like my first thought when I was like, which is a worse one? Like obviously the ramifications were much greater for Cuva, but
Yes.
but it felt like you blew a 3-0 lead
Yeah.
that you didn't have to do much to hold on, and you got a very talented squad. This one hurt. This one hurt.
It was bad. It's just like, I don't know. You have your third string goalkeeper standing on his head in the first leg. You move on, you dominate, you even get a late goal to make it 3-0, and you put yourself in such a great spot for a second leg where all you have to do is score a goal, or all you have to do is just play your style of soccer. Pumas, is not a great team, but like many people were pointing out, they overcame a 3-0 aggregate to qualify for the Liga MX playoffs or whatever it was last year. Not to be disrespectful, I just don't follow Liga MX that much. But Pumas have the talent, and of course, Sebastian Saucedo scores. I think the first goal or the second goal, whatever it was, a former MLS RSL guy. Like, it's just like, of course, if it was going to be anyone, it was going to be a former MLS dude who knows the pain of playing and losing in CCL. It's just it's tough, but New England, Bruce Arena, you guys did it to yourself. You kind of screwed up Matt Turner's chance of getting a super major trophy before he's leaving because can't win anything midway through the season. So it sucks, but I guess it is what it is. New England, you messed it up. You played yourself. New England, you played yourself. Um, let's talk about my final game, the great Seattle Sounders getting a draw against Leon in Mexico. I'm sure it was a penalty that it was right before the half, and Freddie Montero, who has looked like a young Seattle Sounders Freddie Montero this early start to the season without Raul Ruiz, he puts away the penalty, but you get the away goal. Sure, you let up a goal, but again, New England, look at that. They let up a goal and still won and still are advancing. So Seattle Sounders, they did what they had to do. Brian Schmetzer has these guys playing and understanding the importance of CCL, and they're on to a semifinal against NYCFC. I mean, amazing from Seattle.
Yeah, it's really job well done. This is what New England we should have been doing rinse and repeat for New England and Seattle here, and in the favor of the MLS side.
Yes.
Seattle, kudos to them. And now I'm looking forward. Now let me pose this question. Of course, you're an NYCFC fan. Understood. But which of the two sides, NYCFC or Seattle, do you want to see make it to the CCL final for having the most realistic shot at winning CCL?
So I will say this in trying not to be biased. I'm going to say it's NYCFC. The reason why I say that is because when New York City is playing at its best, I think they're the best team in Major League Soccer. When you have Tati getting involved the way he does, Santi Rodriguez and Talas Magno just absolutely destroying in the attack, coming down the sides on the wing. Maxi just kind of connecting everything. Alfredo Morales and Keaton Parks in that midfield. And when the back line is, it is not playing some awkward 3 or 5 man back the way that I don't think it's set up right now without James Sands to play. I think if we just play that traditional 4-2-3-1 that we've had so much success with, I think we're fine. I think we're the best team in Major League Soccer, and I think we have the best chance at winning CCL. But obviously, injuries have caused some concerns. Tavon Gray's been out. We still don't have Anton Tinnerholm, so we've had to play Andres Yasin as a right back. He's a right winger, right? So that's where the concern is right now. So if everyone's healthy, I'm picking NYCFC. I want to personally see NYCFC. I think NYCFC is the best team, but that's also injury concerns. If we are healthy by the time we can get to a final, which hopefully, cross our fingers, we can have at least one right back in, and we don't have to worry about that, then I think I think NYCFC is the pick. I have a feeling you're thinking Seattle, but I mean, I'll listen to it.
Yeah, the reason I think Seattle is I think they're the team that's more capable of winning in a slugfest, right? Like I think that they have more weapons that are more consistent as a team in
Yeah.
scoring. And so I think, now that we know they're going to be up against Cruz Azul or Pumas, and it's a CCL final, right? This isn't going to be a 0-0 draw. This isn't going to be a 1-0 result. Yeah. It's not going to take one moment of Tati. It's going to take a back and forth and a drudge match. And I really think that, did I say drudge match? Grudge match?
Drudge. It's okay.
Whatever. But I think Seattle is built better in that sort of environment. I think they can go down, like we just saw, they can go down to Mexico and get a result, and I trust in that more so than NYCFC today.
Sure, and the key word of today was the point that I was about to make a counterpoint to until you said today. I was going to say MLS Cup final a few months ago. A stoppage time goal. We come back, play a decent extra time, and win in PKs. Winning a lot in PKs the last playoff run. It's a lot of the same team, so I like to think that NYCFC is a little bit resilient. Obviously a lot of minutes under a lot of these legs, especially with us having the deepest run of any team. Well, I guess Portland as well, but of any of the teams we're talking about having the deepest run, and now you're playing earlier season games too. So, I like to think NYCFC is resilient. I'm, also just kind of going back and forth here with you for some banter for the show. But I mean, look, if NYCFC win, also people aren't going to want to tune into this podcast because. I mean, I went nuts over a Open Cup game last night where a team from Long Island won 3-0. You're not gonna hate it. I mean, handle it if I have NYCFC being the first team to win CCL. Also, Red Bull fans will hate me even more. But
I think MLS makes some roster exceptions for NYCFC if they make the FIFA Club World Cup. I think there's going to be some. If any team does, I think there's going to be some. Oh yeah, we can have 7 DPs.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll open up the 10 DP rule, unlimited salary. A high salary floor, unlimited salary cap. Right. That'll start opening up to compete with Liverpool. No, awesome. Anything else about CCL? Obviously, we have it's a week break of CCL before we dive on into that because of the international window. So we'll get NYCFC Seattle takes in probably next week's episode before we get into all of that. I also might be going to the Seattle NYCFC second leg in at Red Bull Arena on April 13th. So if it's even somewhat of a close aggregate, again, obnoxious Tom is going to be here, and that's pretty much it.
I was waiting for you to say in Harrison, New Jersey.
It is in Harrison, New Jersey, but it's embarrassing still. It's fine. Our tiny banner, our baseball stadium, it is what it is. That's what we are. And we're MLS Cup champions also. I'll throw that one out there too. But we teased it kind of in the introduction to this episode, U.S. men's national team talk. It is the final World Cup qualifying window for CONCACAF, and that also means obviously for the U.S. men's national team. We are going to be playing Mexico, we're going to be playing Panama, and we're going to be playing Costa Rica. Everyone who sits just below us in the World Cup qualifying window right now. So I guess, Vaughn, before we talk about the roster, before we talk about, I guess, in specific, I think the Mexico game is obviously, it's the first one up. It's tomorrow night or tonight if you're listening to the podcast. Before we dive into all of that, I guess, how are you feeling about the final window, where things stand right now? and we'll dive into the roster in a second.
I'm probably more confident than I should be, and probably more confident than most of the U.S. men's national team fan base. I believe that we've done enough to this point that we will execute and we will qualify, and we will not have to worry about the play-in game. That's my belief. I think that the record under Berhalter speaks for itself. Like, I know there's lots of people that are like, fire Berhalter, get rid of him. I'm like,
yeah.
Since the start of 2021, the U.S. men's national team is 19-3-3. Like, they've got 19 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. And since he took over in 2019, I think they've only got like 8 losses, but 4 of those were in friendlies. Like,
I have it right here if you want it.
Yeah, bring it.
Greg Berhalter, since he was hired in December 2nd of 2018, so he probably didn't play our coach's first competitive game until 2019. 47 games, 33 wins, 6 draws, 8 losses, a plus 70 goal differential. We've scored 100 goals and allowed 30. Not too shabby from Triple G. I know the dude. I agree with you. I don't see why people want him fired. I know the dude sometimes makes some decisions where I'm a little head scratch, and I'll call him out on it. I think just as much as any coach, but I mean, he's a very good U.S. head coach.
Yeah, I mean, the team, I understand that there's questions about who's brought in, how he uses his subs, how he chooses the starting roster. It not always looking good all the time. But the goal here is advance, get into the dance. And I think they will get that done. I think that if they keep doing what they've been doing, they need to get 4 points. Like 4 points is going to be what they need from these 3 games. Anything more than that, they are absolutely in. Like, I think we're going to be okay. But we got to take care of business. Like, go down to Mexico. I loved what Walker Zimmerman said about the Mexico game, where he was like, I think it was him that was saying it, that like the mentality 4 years ago was, let's get down to Mexico and just try to get a result. And that'll be good enough. And that, no, now everybody understands the expectation is that we're going to go down there, we're going to punch them in the face, and we're going to get a win. And we can get a win. So I think the belief in the team is good. I think that they're shutting out a lot of that noise. Or fine, let there be that noise. Let there be all these people that are critics and like, hey, fire Berhalter and get him out of here, and like prove him wrong. Great, let's go, let's do it. And let's not rest on our laurels. Let's get it done. Let's get it done quick.
I am concerned personally, just because I honestly think it's a little bit of PTSD from Kuva from last cycle. I can specifically remember being on this podcast 4 years ago, like after we failed to qualify for the World Cup. I think I was chatting with Riley at the time, and just how miserable that feeling was. I was gutted for weeks, like disgusting. And then actually, once the actual World Cup came around, like it was just like a big kick in the dick again. Like it was just like just a reminder of what we failed to do.
It was surreal. It was like that we're not here and that we're not like celebrating games and partying with this whole. It was bad.
Exactly, and it's just like I don't want to go through that same pain again. So I think that's why I'm a little concerned, and that's why I like to think why certain fans of the U.S. men's national team are concerned as well. I think there's just fans of the USMNT who just like hating on the USMNT and some weird self-hate kind of thing. But I like to think that all of us want us to do well, want us to win, want us to qualify for the World Cup. Walker Zimmerman, the one of the quotes that I saw, and thank you for bringing him up, because I think he's been a very good kind of mentality vocal leader in the locker room for the USMNT. He said, we're all on the same page and we know what we have to do. We don't care what some fan in Nebraska thinks about all of us not playing well and getting a 1-0 win. We want to qualify for the World Cup. That's our objective. And so we're doing whatever we need to do so. Totally fair. A result's a result. I don't care. I mean, obviously you want to look good in a win, but if you win 1-0 against Mexico in Mexico, like, you did it, like, good for you. The 2 trophies we won over Mexico, I'm not going to say the USMNT looked great in winning them. We probably shouldn't even have won one of them. We shouldn't even have won the Gold Cup. I think, if I'm remembering. No, sorry,
Yep.
CONCACAF Nations League. Probably shouldn't have won that one, but we still won it. We got the result. We're talking about it. We're gloating about it over Mexico fans, right? So let's dive into the roster a little bit, because I know that there was a lot of contention over who's there, who's not there. What are we happy about? What are we not happy about? So right now, the goalkeepers right on the roster are Zach Steffen, who was a major surprise to see, because everyone was saying he was going to be ruled out with injury, but Zach Steffen makes the roster. Sean Johnson, Ethan Horvath. The fullbacks on the roster: Anthony Robinson, George Bello replacing Serginho Dest, DeAndre Yedlin, and Reggie Cannon, who, as reports came out today, did not train with the team, so he most likely will be out for the Mexico game. Center backs: Walker Zimmerman, Aaron Long, Miles Robinson, James Sands, and Eric Palmer Brown. I think we should talk about the center backs in a little bit. The midfield: Tyler Adams, Kellen Acosta, Yunus Musa, Luca De La Torre, Christian Roldan, and Gianluca Busio. And then on the wings: Christian Pulisic, Jordan Morris, Paul Arriola, Timothy Weah, Gio Reyna. Strikers are Ricardo Pepi, Jordan Pifak, and Jesus Ferreira. So with the dudes who are here now, Vaughn, I want to start with the center backs, just because it's a very interesting group of center backs. We have Walker Zimmerman and Miles Robinson, who have played a ton of games for us the past 2 year, who have been, it looks like, Greg Berhalter's ideal starting pair. But then everyone else is an interesting choice. You have Aaron Long, who's playing well for the Red Bulls, back after a long-term injury last season. James Sands, who's struggling to get on the field for Rangers. And then you have Eric Palmer Brown, who's playing a lot in League but this is the point you bring EPB back into the U.S. men's national team kind of like cycle. So I guess, what do you make of the center back grouping, that, or pairing, or just pair, whatever group that we have?
Yeah, I think Berhalter's in a tough spot, right? Because I think anybody looking at the pool at one point in time would have been looking and saying, hey, John Anthony Brooks is going to be a shoe-in here. For a long time, it was Aaron Long that was like next in line.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's been Zimmerman and Robinson. And I would be frightened right now for Berhalter to go with anything other than Zimmerman and Robinson, because of what they have built together on the field playing together. I think if you sub Robinson out and put Aaron Long in, have Long and Zimmerman played enough together that they can do what they need to do now to get the results. That scares me a little bit, because I think Berhalter is going to have to manage these guys. I don't think he can go with the same set for all three games. I think there's going to be an attempt to bring in guys like Long and Sands. I don't think EPB is going to see the field. I think that's probably more for intensity training. But also, he's talking about form. Like you said, if he's been playing well in Ligue 1, okay, maybe that's why he's there. Maybe Berhalter does want to see him and say, hey, I'm gonna play the hot hand. I'm gonna play the guy that is performing well, and I'm gonna trust in his form. But I think that would be a pretty big shocker for any of us. Maybe on the back end, maybe if we walk away with 6 points of the first two games, then EPB's out there.
EPB Sands just rocking it for the Costa Rica game. No, look, I'm with you. I think it's, Walker Zimmerman, Miles Robinson till I die type of feeling right now. They've impressed. They've played well in big games, and I want to see them as the pairing. And I'm not overly concerned about Aaron Long. Obviously, I know a long-term injury in 2021 isn't great, but so far in 2022, he's looked fantastic. He looked, I think, even better than what 2020 was showing from Aaron Long. And this dude was the captain of the U.S. men's national team for a little bit too. Like, Aaron Long produces at the USMNT level, set piece master. And if we're going to abuse things against Mexico, I think set pieces might be a way we have that success and we do well. Maybe a little Aaron Long second half, you sub him in for whichever center back isn't looking great, right? Whatever, or tired or whatever. And you get an experienced USMNT center back, former captain, out on the field. I don't hate it. I don't hate that three. It's just, obviously the John Anthony Brooks thing, like you mentioned, is the big I was about to say horse in the room, elephant in the room, whatever. It's an animal in the room of some sort. I guess, what's your opinion of the whole situation? Because obviously something had to have happened. John Anthony Brooks wasn't playing well in the Bundesliga to start the year, wasn't getting called into camp. Okay, fine, makes sense. You're not performing for your club, like we're not going to call you into national team competition. But now John Anthony Brooks is playing decently well and not being called back into camp. I would argue that John Anthony Brooks is probably a better call up than James Sands or Eric Palmer Brown at this point. I'm not one of those guys that's going to go to the death about this, but I would have liked to see John Anthony Brooks in this roster over some of the defensive call ups that Triple G had.
Well, that's why I said what I did about the Aaron Long, right? It's chemistry. That's my concern is chemistry.
Yeah.
John Anthony Brooks could have come in here, but you're not. I don't think we're at the point where Zimmerman and Brooks would have been on the field at the same time together. And if you bring in Brooks, you're going to have a lot of people calling for Brooks to be playing. And I think it would have been a very sticky situation. I think right now I would be surprised if we don't see Zimmerman and Robinson as the first choice. And I believe, like you said, I believe in Aaron Long's ability to step into the U.S. men's national team. He could even wear the armband, and he can perform well. My only concern is chemistry, right? For Brooks, it's the opposite. Brooks, you got the chemistry problem. You have the form concern. You have the reintegrating into the team. You have, is there tension there between head coach and player? Because there have been public quotes about him making or not making the roster. So I understand the decision to not have him there at this critical time.
I get it, but I don't know. I think about it also at the same exact time. And I kind of, I said this to you before we started recording. My type of philosophy is like, win every game you can, play the best players you possibly can. Sure, you don't want to break up Zimmerman and Miles Robinson as your center back pairing. And we know John Anthony Brooks doesn't play the same way he does in certain areas that when you're going away in CONCACAF. So it's not like we're not used to seeing him on the bench as well. So I don't know. I would have liked to have seen him as just a possibility, right? Like you're down late, you need a defense, or you're up late, you need a defensive stopper, a dude who's shown magic and shown, he has come up big with the defensive play before in a World Cup, in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. He has done it. Like, I don't know. I would have personally liked to have that guy, but again, I'm not the head coach of the U.S. men's national team, so I don't make that decision. But maybe it's time for a dude like Aaron Long to take over that spot, or an EPB, or a James Sands. But we'll see. I think center back kind of worries me the most. But is there another kind of pairing or grouping of positions or players here you want to chat about?
I think we should talk about right back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Reggie Cannon not training today is concerning. That means that you may only have DeAndre Yedlin there. You don't have Dest there, so you don't have a guy that's going to the left or right side. Yeah. Maybe that's some of what's at play here. I would be shocked if he went to a back three, but could you? Maybe.
I mean, we saw it a little bit in the Gold Cup, right? He tried to put James Sands as that central center back and do the back three. Maybe that's why Sands is on the roster as I have 1.5 right backs. I need to call in a dude who can play in a back three.
I don't know, but I'm concerned about the depth at the outside back. That's what I'm saying. If DeAndre Yedlin gets the start, if Reggie Cannon's not available and DeAndre Yedlin gets hurt in Mexico or picks up a red card in Mexico, where are we at? That's when it's going to start getting hairy.
We're at Paul Arriola playing right wing back like he did for DC 2 years ago,
or you've got Tyler Adams jumping back there, or I guess Kellen Acosta has been playing as an outside back, maybe. I mean,
Kellen
don't know.
Yeah, I guess there's options. It's not solid options, but there's options. Look, I think I'm hoping at least it's the case of Cannon not feeling well, but he can play coming off the bench, or Cannon just has to miss one game, and if for whatever reason we don't have Yedlin for Panama, hopefully we have a healthy Cannon, whatever it may be. Yeah, no, like the right back situation is real, and again, I hope ideally we can have Yedlin start, Cannon off the bench. But I don't know. It is concerning because, like you said, Adams is probably the next dude to fill in at right back. If another of them can go, maybe it's a back three. Acosta, Areola have all played fullback before, but it's not ideal. It's not ideal. At least left back. I mean, I know Dest is like the backup left back, but we have some depth at left back with Robinson and Bello, both being there, playing well. And then obviously, the big missing piece in net is Matt Turner. He's injured, but we've known that from CCL and MLS action. So can I say that confidently between the both of us that the ideal back line, I don't know what your mindset is, Vaughn, whether it's play the best team against Mexico or save the best team for later on, because I've seen both of that bouncing around USMNT Twitter. But if you're going best team out there right now, it's Stefan, Anthony Robinson, Walker Zimmerman, Miles Robinson, DeAndre Edlin.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
Well, let's hope that we get to see that back line at some point, because I think we're going to need a good defensive presence in these 3 games for sure. And then obviously Tyler Adams and I think Yunus Musa are almost the penciled in starters in the midfield as well. Again, if we're going best lineup, who do you want to see take that other 8 spot? Because that's been a major debate across USMNT Twitter as well.
I mean, I'm a Busio stan, so I would like to see him do it, and just to elevate his profile. But
for us to win games, not Busio.
Probably Luca. I mean, I think Luca impressed when he was out there in the last cycle. I think he can do it. And when I say last cycle, I meant last round of qualifying.
Yeah. I like Luca De La Torre. I just don't know if I want him as the starter. For me, when I think about Mexico, I'm like, oh, Kellen Acosta. The dude just puts a mental edge, like Weston McKennie does. I mean, if we don't have Weston, I want a mental kind of warrior like Kellen out there. But then I'm like, okay, on the field production, Christian Roldan, no one can really touch him so far to start this MLS season. So I don't know. I don't hate any option, honestly, other than Gianluca Busio. I'm sorry, Vaughn.
I know. I was joking about it. I want creativity in midfield. I want somebody that can dictate play in midfield. And yes, Kellen has done very well there. Yes, Christian Roldan's hot, but Luca's the one that to me brings the most creativity and the most spice and flavor to it. And I think that is something we may need in those defining moments.
And I like a little bit of a mental warrior like Luca De La Torre is. Right, there was public comments that Triple G had against him. There was public comments of Luca De La Torre against Greg Berhalter. And now we see Luca De La Torre playing his way back into the USMNT roster, playing well in the Eredivisie, right? So I like a little bit of that mental bite and mental fight out of Luca De La Torre, obviously outside of his ability on the field. So I can maybe work my way into that. My big piece that I was kind of battling a little bit. Obviously, Christian Pulisic is your starting left winger. Not a shock there. I would think most people want to see Ricardo Pepi as striker, but to be honest, you could throw any of the 3 in the middle. I'm not overly upset at this point. Right wing, with Gio Reyna coming back from a long-term injury at Borussia Dortmund. I said against Mexico we should start Timothy Weah, and then you bring on Reyna later on as a little bit of a spark plug, kind of, keep him off the field in a game where he's going to get fouled a shit ton. And if you need Reyna later on as, again, another dude who mentally has done well against Mexico, who physically and played well against Mexico, you bring him on late. I don't know. Is that a dumb thought, or do you think that there's maybe some ideal preference there, or who do you want at the right wing?
I want Paul Areola because he's playing hot, and I think he can handle some of the defensive responsibilities. I think for Mexico, you're going to need some of those. It's going to be a back and forth game. It's going to be a little bit more chippy. It's going to be a little bit more aggressive, and I think the other games, the specifically the Panama game, is the one to win, right? I think that's the game where you want to have Weah or Reyna fresh. And I don't think Mexico, the Mexico game, you want a result, and I think Areola would be a better fit for that.
Got it. Okay. Now look, again, I understand the people who want to like save not save players, but like make sure you have your players in a situation where you want to make sure you guarantee the 3 points. Obviously, that's the Panama game in this window. I don't know. Again, like I said before, my mentality is play the best players every single time, go out and win the game every single time, and you don't have to worry about qualifying. With a win against Costa Rica or win against Panama. Go out, get what you got to get done. That's
But
my mindset.
but the best lineup, the best team, like the best players, are not necessarily the best fit for opponent.
Of course. No, of course. And that's where soccer is just this beautifully interesting sport of just like style against style. Like it's not like baseball where you just throw out, your best nine player. Yeah, that's nine players. And like you just go bat against bat, power against power. Like soccer is just this beautifully just tactile sport. And I guess that's why they call it the beautiful game. Is so the last thing that I want to talk about this kind of roster, and obviously we can close up with anything about the World Cup qualifying window outside of the injuries to Matt Turner, Serginho Dest, Weston McKennie, and Brendan Aronson, and I guess Daryl DK. I know he's kind of back in training, but he's still injured. Is there anyone that who didn't make this roster who you feel like I would have personally liked to see kind of get the shout here?
I mean, the guy that's hot that I think is also the future is probably Gaga Slonina. That's him, or like you mentioned, Matt Turner. Like those are guys that I think had the cards gone a little bit differently would have been in here.
Yeah.
And so that's about
it. Do you play Gaga over Stefan? If Stefan's healthy, or not healthy, obviously.
No. Right now, I still, and I think we joked about it during the Gold Cup run. Like, I still really think Ethan Horvath is the number 2, right? Like,
really,
yeah, I really do. I think that if Stefan's not in goal, I still think it's going to be Horvath over Johnson. I could be wrong.
Okay, I'm talking about. I thought you were saying Horvath is the number 2 if Stefan
No. No. Matt Turner would be Matt Turner, Zach Steffen, Ethan Horvath. Like that's the pecking order. Okay. So yeah, you're missing your number 1 with Matt Turner. Don't know exactly what that all is about. There's the rumors of the frostbite. There's others saying it's just a knock he picked up.
Yeah.
No. And like as I'm saying, is just about any other window, Gaga Slonina would probably get the look because of how well he's playing. That's why I said he's the future. But that's about it. I mean, yeah, of course, I wish Weston was healthy. Yeah, of course, it'd be great if we had guys like DK or Zardes in form. But we don't. But I think it's probably good we don't have that target point striker. I think we're going to be better for it. So yeah, I'm okay with it.
No, so I mean, like, I'm not even gonna get into the whole backup goalkeeper conversation because that is a just pointless conversation right now. I'm a Sean John guy, but I get it. I get the whole argument. It is what it is. Fine. My only dude who I wish I kind of saw make the roster would be Josh Sargent. Again, you want to talk about a dude who's a little bit in form. He's playing well with a very bad EPL side. He's at least he's looking more like the Josh Sargent that we kind of thought we were going to get 2 years ago. So I would have liked to see Berhalter kind of reward that, but how can you also bring him in over Jesus Ferreira, who's in an amazing form right now, Pifak, who's in amazing form right now, and Pepe, who has kind of earned his way into being one of the 3-4 strikers called up every single window. So it's interesting. We'll see. Let's keep fingers crossed against Mexico. Anything else you want to bring up about the USMNT or this roster or this window before we kind of quickly run through the MLS action?
Get it done. Get it done. That's it. That's it. There's nothing else left to say. Our hands are up. Get it done. And I really hope we don't have to have the chat after this set of 3 games.
Yeah. 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 I'm not. That's it. I'm done. I'm not even gonna go deeper into that. That's it. Get it done. Get results. Make the fucking World Cup. Okay. Let's quickly go around Major League Soccer. I don't want to spend too long on every single game because I wanted this episode to be a majority talking CCL and USMNT. But obviously, week 4 of the MLS season happened, so let's kind of go through it. FC Cincinnati, they continue to win. They snapped their winless streak last week with the win over Orlando. Now, I think they're the first time they've had back-to-back wins, and maybe ever. I don't know. I didn't do the research into it, but
I've done the research.
Is it ever?
No, this is the 4th time they've done it.
Wow. Okay. I honestly would have said maybe they've done it twice beforehand. So good job, Cincinnati, for keep doing what you're doing. But they picked up a 3-1 win against Inter Miami. And I think the major talking point here for Cincinnati is Brandon Vasquez, right? He had a brace last week against Orlando, and there went another brace, and he added an assist against Miami. Like, who needs Brenner when you got Brandon Vasquez banging in goals? I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah, he is this year's Brian White, no doubt about it.
Yes.
And I don't know that it's sustainable. I think he's leading the league in shots, and he's up there in XG, and he's having a very, very good start to the year. I mean, like, if he keeps it this clip, we're gonna be like MVP Vasquez, and that's gonna be weird. But, well, and for Cincinnati too, right? Like their form right now, it feels legitimate. And I think that's the big thing is that Vasquez and his performance, Acosta and how he's playing, it feels
Alec
legit.
Khan in net has been great. I don't remember who I was listening to that said that Cincinnati went for the bargain bin this offseason. And 100% they did. We've chatted about it, the entire offseason. And I said I liked what they did in getting just known MLS talent, known MLS quantities. And that's how you kind of build the floor of your roster. And then you build that up from there instead of USL guys or borderline MLS guys and build up, right?
Well, I think it's also from the top. Like I think they have structure with MLS experience and some guys that are trying something new, right? Like they've been stuck in this like Dutch 4-3-3 thing. And no, they brought in good MLS people in Pat Noonan. They obviously Chris Albright putting it all together. They got Kenny Arena and who else was brought in there? I'm forgetting who all was on their bench. But they brought in good people. Dom Kinnear, that's who I was thinking of.
Dom Kinnear.
So they have guys that are on the training pitch getting the team playing a certain way. They've shifted to a 3-5-2 that's been very effective. They've got Brenner there. They got that big money there, and they've got Dom Badji aside Brandon Vasquez, and Badji's doing his thing. He's not contributing on the score sheet yet, but he's doing what he needs to do to occupy some of the defense.
I think he had an assist. I think so, to Vasquez.
But Vasquez, I'm saying, is the one that's getting like the big attention. Micho Acosta is playing well. Yuya Kubo has looked very good. So I think that what's happening is that they're getting positive performances. Yes, grain of salt. This was against Inter Miami, but still, this is not normal for Cincinnati. This looks like a turning of the tide and something to build upon. The wheels could fall off, but right now, very good things to see. And I'm going to be watching their next game in person when they come to Charlotte.
There you go. I mean, look, maybe, I don't know, like Cincinnati, I want to like them so bad. We've chatted about how many times the fan base is amazing. They deserve winners. They deserve just, positive play on the field. Whether the results come, like that'll come later on. They just deserve like anything positive around their soccer team. I like that that Noonan's sticking to his style, and he's like, we're gonna learn this style. Like my players are gonna play in my system, and this system's gonna win in MLS because I know MLS, and everyone from the top down knows MLS. Just stick to it. I think the results are gonna come. Cincinnati are not gonna be world beaters. Cincinnati are not gonna be MLS Cup contenders, but if you can build your way out of the basement and then next year or in 2 years, kind of be in the middle of the pack playoff wise. I think that's all you can really hope for as a Cincinnati fan and the Cincinnati front office at this point.
Well, and I would
Um,
be remiss
yeah,
to not mention Ronald Monterita. He had a monster
yeah,
of a game against Inter
yeah.
Miami. And he was a big piece. I think he had a goal and 2 assists. He was very good, and he's another guy that has come into that squad that can be a difference maker. And I know I think the first 2 games he wasn't available. But here in the past 2, he's been there and he's been a key piece. And so switching to that 3-5-2, having a guy like Matarrita on one side, Alves Powell providing some stretch on the other side, that it's working so far. And teams will adjust to it, but for now, good things for Cincinnati.
I will say getting a chance to see Ronald Matarrita play a lot as an NYCFC fan for I think like 6 years or 5 years he was with the team. When Ronald Matarrita is getting up into the final third and he's kind of drawing attention and he can create a little bit, which he has a very nice in swinger into a box. I think even Cincinnati fans can attest to that. But I think he had 5 or 6 assists last year. Ronald Matarrita is a danger in the attack and he's a very good defender in his own right. So I was really upset losing Ronald Matarrita 2 years ago, and I mean, I'm glad Cincinnati fans have him, but he might be a nice player to kinda, just tag team with, like, a Baji and a Vasquez in the attack, and I feel like that could be just a nice addition if you get, obviously, a ton of games out of Matarrita, but let's move forward. Let's dive into a team that has been hot, a team that has stayed hot, and that's the Philadelphia Union that I feel like no one's really kind of talking about or giving them their credit to start the 2022 season. They are 10 points, atop of the Eastern Conference right now. And this past week, they put the smackdown on NYCFC at Yankee Stadium, a 2-0 win. And I mean, I don't know. I think Philly right now are back to that 2019 Supporter Shield, like that level squad right now.
Yep, I had them finishing first in the conference for that exact reason. Is that they were going to have improvement. They brought in good people. They're still integrating more. Like Michael Ura is not the one getting on the score sheet. It's Gazdag that's got 3 goals to his name already.
And
So
Carranza has been a nice addition up top too.
yeah, I mean, Jim Curtin has the team playing very well, and it feels like they can just cycle people in, and it just works, like guy after guy, right? Like lose Montero, no problem. Gazdag's going to step up. And Mbaizo, go to the bench. Hey, we'll bring in Harriel, and he's going to kill it. The team is just very balanced, very deep. They aren't having the challenges of the other good teams in the league, like NYCFC or Seattle, where they got the CCL. So they're able to start really hot, right? Like right now, you just said that they're on 10 points. I trust their 10 points way more than I do RSL's 10 points. I think Philly's legit. Philly is going to be legit. Philly's going to be a team that can punch teams in the mouth week in and week out, and can win multiple different ways. They can shut teams down. They can be locked down. They have an incredible guy in net. They have multiple pieces that can score, and depth at those positions. They got Bedoya, who's contributing. There's a lot that's really, really right for Philadelphia.
I mean, that's a great way to word it, just because like it's not wrong, right? They were one of the better defenses last year, and so far through 4 weeks, they've allowed 2 goals. I think last year they were maybe a little bit run of the mill offense, and now you have Gazdag, who's had half a season in MLS, a full off season, and he's looking like early on he could be a game in, game out, game winner in Major League Soccer. And he looks like he could be that dude come MLS Cup playoff times, like he's scoring the big goal, right? Like he's stepping up in that big moment. Uri hasn't really kind of gotten fully into the lineup yet, so I want to wait and see like how he adjusts. But Julian Carranza, I know he had a red card 2 weeks ago, but Carranza's even kind of producing well. I don't think he's scored yet, but he's has a few assists. I think 1 or 2 so far. This team overall is just built so nicely. They have multiple game winners throughout the lineup. just kind of scattered throughout, right? And then, like you said, Harriel, I want to give him a ton of credit because, Mbaizo was the starter game in and game out last year. He was the Ray Gaddis replacement last year. And it looks like Harriel might be the replacement for Mbaizo. I don't know. I like what he's doing a lot. It's another academy product for the Union. This team just has so much fight and so much like just pure talent that I don't know. I don't know who can touch them right now in MLS action. Obviously, it's a long season. We'll see, but I think definitely right now, people picking on top of the East looks like a smart pick for sure.
I said it just blows my mind because I feel like they've also they're the team that like has a lot of contributors that move on to other teams within MLS. Like they're moving guys at good times and having other people that come in and supplement that position, and it works like over and over and over again. Like I'm thinking through who they've had on their roster, and like in the past, it was Harris Medunjanin. It was the guy. Fafa Pico, Jamiro Montero.
Yeah.
Like they have these guys that just move on, and it's okay, right?
Yeah.
We had Mark McKenzie gone, Aronson gone. Like
it's crazy.
It's wild.
Especially when you look at, and we've talked about this before, but when you look at the guys like McKenzie and Aronson who leave, right? Like the academy products that leave, and they replace it again with a Quinn Sullivan, with a Nathan Harriel, with a Paxton Aronson, with the list goes on and on. Like the academy production is just fantastic. It's amazing, and I think definitely the reason why Philly doesn't look to be slowing down anytime soon. Like you can kind of see some other teams when they're on top, like there's not really that next. Philly, you see the next and the next and the next. Like
it looks sustainable.
Crazy.
It looks sustainable.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. That is way smarter of a word than what I just put into 4 words. So thank you, Vaughn. Well, let's move on to a game that I don't want to really talk too much about. I just want to give Orlando City their credit because their DPs finally connecting for a goal. And I mean, I know Orlando City has a win, but finally connecting for a goal leading to a win. They haven't won since week 1. They pill up a 1-0 win on the road against the Galaxy. And Juan to Cara to Facundo Torres and Orlando get on the board. I know there was a lot of shots from the Galaxy in this one, but I mean, Orlando right the ship and get a shutout win.
There was a stat that I did not get to follow up on that I read in the MLS power rankings for Orlando that blew my mind. This allegedly was only the 2nd win for Orlando ever in the Pacific time zone. Them playing in Pacific time, like all the California teams. I mean, I guess they're, an East Coast team going to the West. So like how often do you travel to the West Coast? But this was the 2nd win that they've had in the Pacific time zone.
I'm trying to count the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. RSL might be Pacific. 7?
I think RSL should be.
So you're looking at 6 or 7 teams that are in the Pacific time zone. That I don't know. That's crazy. I mean, Orlando was bad for a really long time. Let's not forget that. They were not a good team. But that's insane. Good for them.
Mind blowing.
I'm proud of them. Then that makes this 1-0 win even more special. Even though the Galaxy probably should have had 1 or 2 goals in this one, but it's fine. Whatever. It is what it is. Let's move on to. We don't like to talk about draws a lot, but this was a pretty crazy draw, Atlanta and Montreal. So I'm going to paint the picture really quickly for the listeners. Montreal was up 3-1 at the half in this one. In the second half, in the 67th minute, Dom Dwyer gets a red card for Atlanta United. So Montreal's up 3-1 and up a man at this point. In the 85th minute, we get the Thiago Almada goal we wanted to see at home, top corner. It's beautiful. Golasso, he's celebrating. It's 3-2. And then in stoppage time, a Brooks Lennon free kick winner to just win it. Sebastian Breza probably should have saved this one. It was
absolutely should have saved it.
He's screaming at his defenders, and I'm like, bro, you could that's an awful attempt at saving that ball, but whatever it may be. I don't know who we want to talk about here. I don't know why I brought this up, but this game was just insanity, and it was pure MLS. I loved this matchup.
This felt like a trap game for Montreal, right? Like they've got the CCL stuff going on. They've got a
Yeah.
road game against Atlanta, and then they're up 3-1. You're like, wow, they're going to get a really good result, a really good road result. Like Atlanta looked bad early in this game. Like their transition
for majority of the game,
very problematic.
Yeah.
And this is now two games in a row for Atlanta at home where they're getting late equalizers or winners. So for me, it's a big thing for Atlanta in that you're seeing a different sort of belief, fight, and energy about them that scares the crap out of me. Yeah, I felt really terrible for Montreal here. I mean, you felt it coming too. That was the weird thing. It's like they were down 3-1 and it just felt like something was going to happen in this game, and it did.
Yeah, it did. I mean, look, it's one of the beautiful, just messy madness games of MLS, and I don't know why Atlanta United, like you said, just has a different feel about them this year than they've had kind of in the past 2 years where they haven't really been the Atlanta United. I know Josef's been injured, but whatever to that. But
they feel like if they've got 3 minutes to turn the throttle up and score, they're going to score. Like I think that's what it is that they have. And when you've got Almada, Josef, Lennon, right now you've got who am I not even mentioning? Like you've got so many Marcelino Moreno, right? You've got all these guys that are stepping onto the field and are dangerous. And you got Jake Mulroney getting the winner. Like you've got Andrew Gutman, who's heavily involved in attack. This is a
Tyler
team
Wolf.
It just feels like no, but for real, like the point is like if they want to put their foot on the gas, they are a team that when they put their foot on the gas, they will inevitably get a goal. How many they'll leak behind it is the question. But this is a team that when they decide we are going forward, we are pushing for a goal, and we're going to get it 9 times out of 10, they're going to get it. And I think that establishing this belief early in the year that they're thinking the same thing. They're like, hey, we got 5 minutes of stoppage time. Thank you very much. Yeah. We'll take that.
We got a second 90 pretty much.
Right.
I mean, look, to me, if like Atlanta United can bottle this, learn to spread out that energy over the course of a game, maybe not be so leaky on defense and score 3 over the course of 90 minutes instead of having to rush and do it in 10. I think this makes Atlanta United scary. Maybe that's just more minutes for the likes of Josef, Araju when he comes back, and Almada together. You know, like maybe like when you get all of those together and you get consistent minutes, more playing time, all that stuff, maybe they find that. And then defensively, hopefully when you push Brooks Lennon back to right back because he's kind of just playing up more because he has to at this point, you know, I'm just hoping to see a little bit more defensive sturdity, I don't know, playing better defense later on in the season and kind of and have that, you know, absolute electric attack figure it out for a overall 90-minute positive game. Because if you're playing well 90 minutes offensively, maybe that gives a little bit more relief to the defense throughout the course of the game as well. So I don't know, crazy game. I loved it, but let's move on to another game where we saw a team score 3 goals. In Chicago Fire remain undefeated, remain hot, beat Sporting Kansas City 3-1. Sorry about that, Vaughn. But the Fire, they do allow their first goal of the season to Roger Espinoza, so that's something you can hang your hat on if you want. But the Fire, I don't know if it's Ezra Hendrickson. I don't know if it's Rafael Shihas that they brought in. I don't know if it's Gaga Slanina just being an absolute leader as a young teenage sensation. I don't know if it's maybe they have better pieces in the attack and they can hold on to the ball a little bit more. But defensively and just overall as a team, this is like a different bite on the Fire in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that they're very difficult to beat defensively. I mean, Jason did a great job talking about them last week.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad he's not here to rub this one in my face. But yeah, I think that's what it is they're hard to break down. They have a new energy about them,
Yeah.
right? Like this is actually happening across the league. Like a lot of these new coaches have stepped in and are getting early results. And Ezra Hendrickson is getting his opportunity. The team looks like they believe in what they're doing, and it looks like they still have room to grow and build. And that's a good thing for a franchise that's really struggled. I think this is their best start since 2009. So
something like that, yeah.
So yeah, this is a long time coming. It's a good sign. And the stat, once again, I'm a stats guy. The one that I absolutely love from this is that Francisco Calvo, through 4 games, through 4 weeks in MLS, Francisco Calvo has more goals scored than the Chicago Fire have conceded. Just saying.
Love it. Those could have been own goals last year, if you want to talk about it that way. So it's a positive. It's improvement. No, honestly, if you guys are listening to this, watching this, and you want to hear, a passionate Fire fan speak very highly of his team, that's Jason. It's last week's episode. Go check that out. And pretty much everything he says holds true, except that there's just another big win behind it. So add even more energy to that. But Shaqiri finally gets on the score sheet. He had a PK goal and 2 assists in this one. They finally get Kasper Shabilko on the score sheet. He had a brace. It seems like the Fire are kind of starting to click offensively slowly, where that wasn't initially in the beginning, or the beginning 2 weeks of the season. We're still in the beginning of the season. But defensively, this team looks like they're going to be a tough one all season long. So I'm happy for the Fire fans, because the Fire deserve to be a good market. I don't know.
Shabilko, another guy that left Philadelphia.
There you go. Yeah, Kasper Shabilko. They got a decent chunk of change for him and moved on. Let's talk about Charlotte, man. The people want it from you. The people want to hear it. Charlotte FC pick up their first win at home over the Revs, reigning Supporter Shield champions. I mean, I'm just gonna let you have it. I'm not even gonna add anything to it.
I will say, it's not looking good for us against Cincinnati, because I am the bad luck charm. This was the game I did not make it to. This was the first game I did not make it to, and it was a great win. This one felt like a long time coming, and it was very cathartic. I think it was really good for the fan base. I think it was really good for the home fans that were able to be there, for the team to finally bust it open and get 3 goals, and they were legit goals. They were very good. Yes. They really dominated and controlled a lot of this game against New England. But New England still played well. Of course, there's a big asterisk on this one, with New England not having Matt Turner, not having Henry Kessler, not having Andrew Farrell, not having Adam Buxa, not having Gustavo Bo. I get it. But New England's still a good team.
A win's a win.
A win's a win. And I think the other thing that I felt from this game is, okay, a Supporter Shield level team, a playoff level team, they were missing those guys, yes, but this was a home game, and this is a game where, okay, home game and the opponent's missing those guys, you should win that game, and they did it, right? That not all expansion clubs are capable of doing that. We saw more of what Miguel Angel Ramirez ball is. We saw transition goals. We saw possession goals. We saw Swiderski making something from very low XG opportunities, really not needing a lot of space. We saw a new formation, right? Like, we're 4 weeks in. We've seen this team in a 3-4-3. We've seen them in a 4-3-3, and we've seen them now in a 4-4-2 diamond. So there's positional fluidity, tactical fluidity. We're still integrating guys, right? Like, Daniel Rios was a late addition. Derek Jones was a late addition. Kamil Jozwiak isn't with the team yet. I said it when I was previewing this team. They are better than a wooden spoon level team. I think people are starting to see that and recognize that. This is the first building block. The analogy I used was that this is the first jewel in the crown for Charlotte FC. And it felt great. It was a belief building moment, I think, for the whole fan base. And I think it was it was a breakout for the team. And I think now what I want to see is, how can the team build on this? How can they grow from it? Can they make these results more consistent? And first test is going to be this weekend against Cincinnati.
And look, I know you said it, like, that this might have been a weekend. I have a pop-up on my computer. Yeah. Oh, geez, my screen just went away. I hope I'm still here. I know you said this is a week in Revolution side, but this is a team that still had DeJuan Jones, Brandon By, Carlos Hill, Sebastian Lletget, Matt Polster, Josie out. Like, this is a team that still had a lot of talent on the field. So I don't think that should be taken too much away from Charlotte. It's not like every team is New England with the crazy amount of talent that they have at every single position. But honestly, the player I want to give a ton of credit to, who I've just loved to watch, like, is Ben Bender. Like,
Yep.
I just want, like, he's making like the super drafts. Like, every single year, I feel like we get like super draft players that just kind of show its value still. Just watching Ben Bender play soccer is like, I could sit there and just watch Charlotte mainly for him. And, I have no real rooting interest in Charlotte FC outside of knowing you and hoping that you're at the game to see them win. But, I just want to see Ben Bender play and ball out because the kids put the team on his back a little bit. And I like it. I don't
If
know.
they had he had his first career goal in this game. He in the past 2 games, his first 2 starts, he's got a goal and 2 assists. And he's looked very, very good. He's been a major contributor. And I think he's catching some people off guard, but I think also Miguel Angel Ramirez has built a culture already in this team of competitiveness. Some of that is also credit to Zoran Cornetta and the scouting team, right? Like, there's competition throughout the roster.
Yeah.
But we saw Adam Armour got the team's first goal ever, and that was a game after he didn't make the 18. And they said that was a motivating factor. Ben Bender has worked his way into a starting position and is basically saying, hey, this is your chance to go out there and perform and earn it. And he's going out there and he's doing that. And now Miguel's decision is made for him. Bender has to be on the field, and I got to figure out how to make everyone else earn their way onto the field. This game was also the first real serious minutes and the first start for Jordi Alcivar. He was fantastic in this game when he really struggled in preseason. So Jordi Alcivar getting out there and doing well, and that was also a response to Titi Ortiz not doing very well. So Titi going to the bench, Jordi Alcivar going in there. Brant Bronico, he was the one guilty for conceding a really bad giveaway that gave away the goal in this one. But he's played very, very well. He's stepped up to the plate and has filled in where there's been a learning curve for a Sergio Ruiz or an availability for Sergio Ruiz. So that's what I'm seeing in this squad, is that there's these guys that when they're going on the field, they're performing up. They're right. I'm not seeing a lot of guys where I'm like, ooh, that was a really, really bad performance. Maybe there's been a couple of those moments for McCoon. Maybe there's been a couple of those games or moments for Joseph Mora. Fuchs had his moment. Fuchs was gassed. That one I do think was stretching the limits of he probably shouldn't have been on the field. But overall, I think the team has a belief in what they're doing. I think that this one was a well deserved, and they were due for it win.
There you go, Charlotte FC fans. I know you guys only tune into the podcast for Vaughn and your Charlotte take. I made you wait an hour for it, but there it was. Now, thank you, Vaughn. Like, I love when we get to chat about you chatting about Charlotte or me chatting about NYCFC, Jason talking about Chicago or Sam talking about DC, because I don't know, it adds obviously our fandom, our passion for those teams obviously adds just a little bit more. And I love listening to you talk about it. I know the fans love listening to you talk about it, like me talking about NYCFC, CCL, and everything like that. I just love it. So thank you for that, Mom.
Well, I'll say this, the difference that I'm experiencing, I'm a Sporting KC fan through and through, right?
You're going full Charlotte.
I have not had the opportunity in my lifetime to have this sort of access to a club and to see it build from the foundation. And so I'm taking that opportunity to dive deep.
100%.
And so this game, I watched the game twice after the game. I've watched this game 3 times over. And I'm trying to view it in different ways. And that's what's exciting for me. And I think for this fan base is we have it. It's here for Major League Soccer and the accessibility to it. And so I'm just so happy that I didn't have to wait another 2 or 3 weeks to see a result like this. They're going to have some tough stretches, but I think this is a good building block. And I think this was the first result where it's no, we can compete.
Yeah. No, look, for sure. I mean, you guys have not looked bad. There's been bad moments, but you haven't looked bad as a team. So I definitely have to give Charlotte that credit because we've seen other expansion teams look bad, like bad. Like I'm talking Minnesota week 1 against Atlanta United bad. But let's finish wrapping up week 4 with the FC Dallas Portland Timbers game. Obviously, I think the big talking point here is Jesus Ferreira continuing his hot start to the season. He's looked very well, and he got a hat trick in 36 minutes in this one. Like Portland Timbers absolutely fell apart on the road in this one. They were playing strong, doing well, and Jesus Ferreira showed up, and they brought the cowboy hat back, at least from the first time that I saw in 2022. It was no longer on Ricardo Pepi's head. They just popped it right on Jesus Ferreira's head. And I mean, I love it. I don't know. I just wanted to bring it up because hat tricks are rare when it's not coming from a guy like Carlos Vela. So shout out Jesus Ferreira for that because it was a big game, big moment. And FC Dallas overall as a team dominated, just straight up dominated this match.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the Ferreira show for sure. And for them to be starting on this foot, like this is a team that has had all this talent churning through. You know, we talked about Philadelphia and their sustainability. There's been that concern of like FC Dallas has all this talent going through there, but they're there for so short and they're not building anything and that they're not competitive. And I think this year, the spend, they hit a home run on Paul Arriola. You know, we can talk about that whole Charlotte Dallas thing, but like hit a home run there. Velasco's come out and is looking great out of the gates. They were able to move on from Pepe and Ferreira's there, and they're doing fine. This was a good result, and something that once again maybe this is Dallas being better than maybe they are a playoff team if they can build from this.
Yeah, look, I think defensively, again, the same questions we had for Dallas to start the season. If this defense can hold up for the entire season, if Matt Hedges can look as good as he's looked for, you know, the short stretch of the season so far, then I think Dallas will be fine, you know, without Brian Hollingshead and guys like that, which is crazy to say.
Well, and is it Pius? Is that how you say his name? That's in goal. Pius. He's been really good.
He's been an upgrade. He's been an upgrade in that. Last year, it was kind of like a rotation of Zobek and I don't even know who else. No offense to whoever it was, but not quality in net. And I know they have Pius for a 6-month loan. They're most likely going to extend it if he can continue to play like this. So it's a good start to the season for FC Dallas. Let's wrap things up, Vaughn. Is there anything that you want to touch on to the fans before we get out of here?
I don't think so. I mean, we've covered a great deal. Too big of a league.
Yeah, I know. We really have to probably figure out a better way to do it every week, but it is what it is. The league is what it is. MLS Next Pro starts this weekend. So if you guys want to support your local 2 teams, then get on that. I think the opening game is Friday, and we get St. Louis City 2 against the Rochester, New York FC team. So that's kind of an interesting
6,000 fans, I think was what I was seeing.
Yeah, I mean, St. Louis is building a little bit of a fan base, and I like that we're going to see a little bit of a 2 team before their actual MLS team comes to fruition too. So we'll see how that goes.
You know, I love my expansion teams. You know, I love covering them. Even FC Cincinnati, we've talked about it very positively. Yeah. I'm going to do it for St. Louis. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. As a Kansas City guy, St. Louis is the rival. And the thing is, at the end of the day, I think they're doing a lot really, really right.
They're doing a lot right.
They're doing a lot right. They got a good energy about them. They have a good vibes. It kind of is reminiscent of Austin. I think there's a really rich culture of soccer in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish Charlotte had a little bit more of that juice in terms of the vibes.
And even some of the roster signings, I really do like. I do have to say, but we're not turning this into a St. Louis City FC talk. Roman Berkey is headed to St. Louis FC, which is St. Louis City FC SC. Jesus, I'll get used to saying that by the time
STLCLC.
The last thing that I just quickly want to mention, Open Cup is here. It's finally back after a 2-year hiatus. If you know this podcast, you know how much I love the US Open Cup. So first round is done last night, if you're listening to the podcast. So you missed it, but get ready for the second round. It's coming soon. Oyster Bay United FC, Long Island's very own. I just have to say that. I'm a Long Island boy. I will always root for anything Long Island, and they won 3-0. So I'm just rooting for them to pull a major upset.
Have you been to a Long Island Lizards game?
I have not been to a Long Island. I've been to a Long Island Rough Riders game.
I remember watching the Lizards back in the day.
Were the Lizards? Are you talking like about the lacrosse team?
Yeah.
Jesus, that was a pull from the back of the memory. Wow.
They had a great logo. Okay. That's a logo that could have been in the best logos thing.
Well, you just brought back like 10-year-old Tom, like just seeing a random Long Island Lizards backpack in school. Okay, well, that's it, folks. Vaughn just threw me off my game at the end of this one. That was episode 221. Thank you guys for listening, watching, subscribe, follow, like, share us wherever you can. Check out MLSAces.com for daily, weekly blog posts, and we'll catch you next week.